Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do a tag video because I haven't done a tag in a while and I had this one lying around for a very long time. I was kindly tagged by Lauren over at Paperback Empire. I will link her channel down below so you can go and check it out. It's definitely a channel that I recommend, especially if you like TBR videos and then all the other kind of like booktube staples as well. And this tag focuses in on, as you would guess, the way we rate and review books. So I thought maybe that could be interesting to you because I do talk about like my star ratings in my videos. This is maybe a good referral point as well. And the first question actually is tag people, which is a little bit unusual because usually you do that at the end, but I've chosen 3 people that I want to recommend to you and who I hope will do this tag at some point. I don't know if they're interested in it, so if they are not, that's no problem at all. I still want to give them a little shout out. The first one is Cleo from Bemused Bookworm. You've probably heard me talk about her channel before because she's doing the Game Night-a-thon, which is a really fun readathon that will return in July. So definitely subscribe to her channel so you're not missing out. But Cleo, if you're interested and haven't done it already, I'm actually not quite sure about that, please do it. I'd be interested to see your answers. Then we have Chaz from the channel Fit for Gaming, and I feel like we have very similar reading tastes, so if you're interested in the books I talk about, you're probably also interested in the books she talks about. So again, a channel that probably makes sense to check out if you enjoy my videos and you want to support like smaller content creators. And then last but not least, I'm gonna tag Vanessa from the channel The Fairy Wilds, and I think she might have more interesting answers to this tag than I do because she is much more well versed in like literature things. I'm definitely not. This is all just for funsies for me, so I thought maybe her answers might be interesting as well. Question number 2 is, how do you know you've just finished a good book? Is it a thinking or a feeling response? And for me, it's definitely a lot of like Bauchgefühl, we say in German, so just a feeling. It's not a lot of thought. Like obviously, when I then talk about the book on camera, I do think about the reasons where these feelings come from. But for me, like when I finish a book, it's a feeling, not a thought. Third question. When you begin to form your review or rating, what is the first question you ask yourself? And I have no idea. Like when I write reviews for my German blog, I usually start with like a little description of what the book is about and then give like my thoughts about why I picked the book up in the first place and stuff like that. So maybe the first question that I ask myself then is whether what I wanted to get from the book is what I did end up getting from the book. Yeah, that's probably it. Okay, number 4. Do you do star ratings and why? And I do like half-star ratings, so Goodreads is always a little bit of a struggle because they don't do that. But for my like stats, I do half-star ratings. So why am I doing that? To make it easier for me, to be honest, and to make it easier for other people. I don't like writing reviews on Goodreads. I'm just not that bitch, so I guess if I at least give a star rating, people can see whether I liked a book or not. And then also for like my personal stats, I always like to see how a reading year went. So for example, looking at the average star rating throughout the years, or looking at the number of like 2-star books or 5-star books throughout the years will just give me a little bit of an indication of how my reading is going, how well I'm choosing my books, and then also, yeah, just where certain books come from and how they fare. So for example, if I get gifted books that I have not chosen myself, even though I do like the kind of like intrigue of that, usually they don't fare as well as books that I have chosen myself, just because I know what I want and I know which books can fulfill those itches, I guess. So that is like the main reason I want to make it easy for people to just gather whether I like the book or not, and then I like to look back in a more general sense on my reading year and yeah, just have a feeling of how it went. Okay, so now we have like little questions underneath this one. And the first one is, explain your star rating system. What does a good book get in your rating system? Now, I would say a good book is between a 3.5 and a 4 star. So those were books that were better than average for me. And this is usually where most of my reading falls as well. And then we have the 4.5 and 5 star books, which to me are great books. And obviously 5 stars is like the best of the best, like books that really did something with me and to me, and I enjoyed it. And then we have everything that is 3 stars or below, which is just nothing I particularly enjoy. Like with the 3-star books, it's usually like I'm not mad about reading them, but then going into like 2.5 stars, 1.5 star, I am mad about reading them a little bit, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of like how it works. And then the next question is your star rating consistent? For example, are all your 5-star books better than all your 4-star books? And I would say yes, I do feel quite consistent with that. And as I said, the way this works is all in my feelings. So I guess sometimes I have books where it is a little bit more difficult, like the 4.25 star reads and stuff like that, but then I just settle for 1, and that usually has more to do with thought than feeling, I guess. So I would say yes, it's quite consistent and has been over the years. But I'm doing this little reading project where I go back to read books that I rated like very highly about 5 years ago to see whether I would still give them that rating. And I don't want to spoil how it went for the first year that I did this, so you have to watch out for that vlog. That will hopefully be coming in March, we'll see about that. Then question number 5, do you believe every book has its perfect reader? Does this contradict the idea that a book can be bad? Now, I think there are bad books. I think that reading taste is definitely different, and that's great. But I do think that there is some books that are just bad. And I also think that there is some books that are just dangerous. So I'm not for banning books, but I grew up in Germany, and here we do have one book in particular that has been banned, and that is Hitler's book. And I do support that. I don't think that, especially like teenage boys in certain areas of our country, should be reading that. Are they probably still reading that if they really want to? I guess so, but you know, I think that there is books that are just dangerous, and I also think that there is books that are just bad, and yeah, there is like no redeeming qualities. But I do think the majority of books, it's really just up to taste. So for example, I like character-driven stories. I do like a good plot, but for example, what's not very important to me is the writing. Like I can deal with like most writing styles, and so for other people it might be a deal breaker if a book is written in a particular way. Or for example, I love second person narration, and I know so many people hate it, and I just can't understand. It's something like Brussels sprouts, you either love it or hate it, but you know, it's just taste. It's just your taste, and that's completely fine. Like I would never say a book is bad because it is written in a particular way that a lot of people enjoy, but I don't. So yeah, those are kind of the distinctions, I guess. Number 6, what book that you hated have you recommended? And I can't really think of any off the top of my head. Like there's probably books I hate that lots of people enjoy. For example, the what's it called? The Book Thief. I really did not like this book. It is so overhyped. But you know, whatever. People like it. They can enjoy it. But I don't think I've ever actively recommended it, or any other book that I didn't enjoy. Because like, nah. Number 7, what makes a book good, bad, or great? by your evaluation. Maybe let's start with the grade. For me, as I said, it is a lot about feeling. So if a book can really get me in my feelings, make me feel things, make me feel different things, then usually a book is great. There's also the point of rereadability. So if I finish a book and I immediately want to start it over again, that's a 5-star. Like what else could it be, you know? So whenever I have books where I just feel like this itch to reread them, that usually means it's a great book to me. Now with good books, I like them, like I have a great time with them, but I don't have those things, you know, I don't have the itch to reread it immediately. I don't have like a ton of feelings. I don't have like a book hangover or anything like that. It's just a solid, good book, you know, and you're not mad you read it, but if it's like going onto your shelves, it's fine. If you're donating it and never see it again, it's probably fine as well, you know, it's just that kind of thing. And then for a bad book, usually that's also about feelings, but either like extreme boredom, and I do not get bored easily, but extreme boredom, or if it makes me like angry, not because it is designed to make me angry, but because it is badly done. You know what I mean? Like some books make you angry because that's their goal, because you're supposed to get angry. But then there's books where you get angry at the book, and that's not good. Like that's usually a bad book for me. So I would say a lot about feelings, and it's probably not a very good answer. So number 8 is a long one, just bear with me. When evaluating the quality of a book, do you have specific criteria or aspects of the book, such as character development, that you consider? Does this change if you are writing an in-depth review versus just thinking about the book for enjoyment? Again, it's lots of feelings. So no, at the first like moment, I don't think about these specific things. But then when I write my German like written review, I do go through like points that I always talk about in my review. So I will go into the characters a little bit, and I will go into the world building, and I will go into the plot a little bit, and also whether the ending worked and stuff like that. But that's what happens when I like type it out. But then obviously during the reading process, I still usually can pinpoint things that are just not working for me. And especially since I do a lot of these vlogs where I talk about the book while I read it, it is more of a reflective process, as if, you know, I'm reading the book and then I'm judging it at the end. And that's why I like doing vlogs, because sometimes your feelings change so much. Like for example, I just did my Changeling vlog. That's a little bit of wordplay here, but I loved the beginning of this book so much. It was so great, and then I just didn't love the ending. So the beginning was like 5 stars for me, but then it just went downhill a little bit. And so if I would have judged it just from the ending point, where I was like disappointed with where it went a little bit, I would have given it a lower rating. But because I had those like vlog bits where I just gushed about how brilliant the beginning is, I knew I had to give it a higher rating than that. So yeah, does this answer the question? I have no idea, the question was too long. Number 9, do you consider star ratings or average ratings when choosing books to read or add to your TBR? Usually I don't. Sometimes I regret that. Like last year I read American Mermaid, and if I had seen the average rating for that, maybe I would have not done it and would not have been disappointed. But then no, usually I go by reviews, and even if a book is reviewed by someone who didn't enjoy it, but I think it sounds very interesting, I will still put it on my wish list and just let it sit there for a while. Like my wish list is kind of like, yeah, I really have to go through it and just throw some stuff out, but it's really just like books I want to remember that I thought they sounded interesting, and then when I hear more and more about a book or something like that, it makes it more more probable that I will pick it up eventually. So no, I don't think star ratings per se are what drives me to choose a book. Number 10, who on booktube does reliable and interesting reviews of books that you know you can use to decide if a book is for you or not? What makes their reviews so good? This is a bit of a difficult question because I do watch a lot of booktubers just because I like them. I like their personality, their videos, and not because they have my kind of reading taste. But I think for making great reviews, the first person I think of is Adri, and the channel is called Perpetual Pages, and their reviews are just amazing. Like, I think they have this gift of reviewing any book in a way that makes you want to pick it up. Even if they've just given it like 3 stars, they can still talk about the themes of the story in such a great way that you're like, oh my god, I need to read this. So I think, yeah, they have just such insightful reviews talking mostly about the themes, and that always makes me really interested in the books. And then if I look more towards fantasy, I think Elliot Brooks does really good reviews, even though she does dabble into romance more than I'm comfortable with. I think that a lot of her recommendations have made their way onto my wish list, and yeah, I think she also just has a way to make books sound very interesting, very intriguing, and she also recommends books that she didn't love, but where she's like, I'm just gonna say what might be good aspects in here, and maybe those are things you're looking out for, and I think that's really good. So I think those would be my answers. And then I think, as I said before, when it comes to actual reading taste, that is very similar. I think that Chess from Fit for Gaming is so close to my reading taste. And then also, I don't think that they have a YouTube channel, but they do great reviews on Goodreads and other blogs, and that is Esme Rosalind. I will try to link something of theirs down below as well, but yeah, we also have very close reading tastes, and yeah, I just look to their reviews a lot for inspiration. And the last question, do those booktubers use different language than you to evaluate and review the overall quality of a book? And I would say for the most part, yes, probably. I think they are much more professional and have a much more like cohesive way of talking about the themes and what makes books great. I think that because for me it is so much about feeling. What I try to do on my channel is just to share the enjoyment, to share the joy of reading a good book, and maybe inspire people to pick up books that I think are really great. But I don't think that I'm like particularly good at doing like deep dives into the themes and into the deeper meanings of a story. So that's what I really love when other people do that for me, because it's just not the way that I read books. But I do enjoy then having people talk about the books in that way. So it just enhances the experience for me even more. So I think that would be it for this tag. I hope it was somewhat interesting. Definitely let me know if your answers would be different. I would love to hear about the way you rate books, or just collect your feelings about books if you're not like an active reviewer. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye!